So I am here with Bread. Why don't you give your title here in relation to Mega ETH, which is what we're talking about today.
Hey, I am Bread Guy on Twitter, Bread for short. And I'm actually a part of, I guess you could call me CYO, Chief Yapping Officer these days, community growth.
Mega ETH is a new chain launching on EVM. We're going to discuss what is different about Mega ETH. We're going to discuss the SBT drop, which has some contentious opinions on Twitter, and why people should be checking out Mega ETH. Why don't you start with what Mega ETH is? Why is it better than what currently exists? Why do we need to go to another chain? And what got you started on Mega ETH?
All right, so you mentioned we're an extension of the EVM. So we're an L2 on top of Ethereum. Why do we need to exist? Is frankly because we saw the way that all other L2s were being built. We thought that it was very inefficient in the way that they were doing that stuff. The market is showing to value end user experience, right? People are going to Solana because even though it's maybe not as decentralized, it's more performant, the better UX, it's more simple. By doing that as an L2 and not an L1, it allows us to build apps, basically, that are, you may have seen the tagline for our chain, real time. We basically just said, okay, this is clearly the market trend, it's going closer to this, let's maximize for it. And because we're an L2, we don't have to have a bunch of nodes agreeing on stuff. We have a single sequencer, let's maximize this thing instead of trying to decentralize it. Because of that, we can end up with applications that operate within that 100 millisecond window. That's why.
I'm reading your white paper as you're talking because I'm a simpleton. I feel like I reflect a lot of simpletons. It says, why do we need another blockchain? And it talks about mainly gas per second and the validator requirements. For the average person watching this, gas is effectively the tax you pay per transaction, just like you pay a retailer tax. Now, Mega ETH says that this is where it specializes. I'd love to hear what you do differently around gas and what you do differently around node operations.
So most of that's on the hardware side of just being able to participate in an L2 network. Right now you can't, frankly, or can't cross the other ones, right? If you think of the structure of an L2, you have the sequencer, big thing that's producing the blocks. And then you have a bunch of full nodes that exist around it. The full nodes don't produce blocks, but they receive blocks from the main sequencer and they rerun the transactions, they verify it, they make sure things are cool. It's important to know that the speed of your chain is only as fast as your full nodes can keep up with the chain. If they can't keep up with how fast this thing is, so no matter how big you make the sequencer, then it's kind of pointless, right? You can't verify stuff, you can't do whatever. To distribute the ability for people to keep up, make it more permissionless, is we broke that role into two roles that play together to produce the same amount of compute. It's just distributed across multiple roles. But you have to trust, right? You're trusting that the sequencer is producing stuff appropriately. To balance that, we have the prover network. Instead of going to a single entity that has to constantly just keep up with us, we distribute these blocks across an entire network of prover nodes that all sit there and individually approve these blocks to say that, hey, this one's good. Hey, this one's good. The goal is we need people that are running these very small hardware requirements, individually approving these things and then reporting them to the replica nodes, because that elevates the entire ecosystem, being able to keep up with us. Again, I can't really speak to what the structure of incentives is. Those are the relationships that will exist as just make our thing go fast, make sure people keep up.
How will a normal person see that reflected? Will it just be even faster transactions? Will it mean I can try Solana style apps on Ethereum? What does that mean for someone who doesn't need to be technical?
So what this would mean for someone like you and I, it just culminates or shows itself in higher TPS, which is the responsiveness, right? So it's you and I can both submit our transactions same time. It can both be processed same time. And because we're talking block times that are so small as they are, ours is 10 milliseconds versus 2 seconds on Base, 12 seconds on Ethereum. They both land almost instantly, and you and I don't have to wait for each other to do our stuff, independent or with each other.
Let me ask you a stupid question. I'm really good at stupid questions. Why are you guys called Mega ETH? Are you guys worried that that would be bad for the token? Because in the old days, there was ETH Classic. I don't know how you're going to show up as a ticker like METH. From a marketing perspective, how does that even work? How do you make sure people know Mega ETH is an L2 and not a gas transacting token of another network?
So Yilong, the founder, he's a Web2 dude, and he's just he fucks up data centers with distributed systems, the latency. That's just his thing. So he came to this ecosystem, Web3 specifically, and said, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to apply my same principles now just to Web3, to these design systems. I think I could beat these people. So he's doing that. He just named it Mega Rollup. Eventually, choosing Ethereum after he partnered with the other technical founder, Lei, they just went with Mega. Instead of Mega Rollup, it was Mega ETH. You see the low float, high FDV meme has been a thing. It's a meme for a reason, right? For the last few years. A lot of that is born out of private capital basically capturing all the value of these projects. They go through multiple rounds. Berachain itself had a $100 million round at 420 valuation. All that value capture, all those tokens were allocated to a small amount of people. And because of that, you lead to, down only price action because those people have a fiduciary duty to give money back to LPs. Our tactic for going to market, this team specifically, before I even joined, and made the conscious decision to not go crazy with raises, right? They raised 20 million initially from Joe Lubin, Vitalik, Dragonfly, these people. They specifically put off raising money forever, right? Up until the last round of raises, which was Echo.
What was that process like? What is one thing you really liked about Echo and one thing you didn't like?
It's actually even more complex for me because I'm a US citizen. So like I couldn't participate like setting up the Echo stuff. Can't participate in setting up any of this NFT stuff. So I am on the outside looking at the project and like seeing the after effects of it. We got 3,200 people across like 90 something countries, right? And since then, we've seen already a groundswell of people that want to see us succeed now, right? They're interested in the project. They're doing what they can to contribute, give valuable feedback, show us support on stuff.
Now there's this new sale, the Fluffle, which is your soulbound NFT.
Yep.
That works sort of like an ICO because each SBT comes with a certain amount of Mega ETH token with a vested schedule. If 10,000 people bought at 1 ETH each at the current price today, it'd be roughly another $20 to $25 million in capital. What would you like to say with it? What do you think the pros are, the cons? You've heard some of the contention online.
The one thing I've learned from this is like you cannot hide any information deep in like long form text. You got to hammer everyone right up top with like bullet points and that's it. And then let them dig if they want. A lot of people, frankly, like I was just actually addressing someone on Twitter that was just like, they think we're an NFT collection. And they don't know we're an L2 or an entire protocol. We got 20 something engineers working on this thing for 2 years, right? Like it's, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
The second thing is that it was just an intention to continue the ethos and that there's no perfect solution to this, right? We're a team that's trying to return to the roots of like letting people who are willing to participate have that ability to, right? Echo is not a perfect solution. It cuts out a lot of people because you have to follow accredited investor laws in whatever country you're in. You have to do those things as a protocol to do the other things that we wanted to do, right? We didn't want to leave ambiguity in this where it's like, hey, buy our NFT, bros. It's kind of cool. Like it's cute, wink, wink. Like we wanted to be able to say this comes with 5% of the network with a potential that even more. We wanted to talk about the KPI vesting. We wanted to talk about everything that we could because we didn't want to leave ambiguity to it.
What constitutes a valid wallet to receive allocation to buy into the round?
So for the people who are listening, if this is a week from now, so mid-February, I hope you got in. We took this 10,000 NFT collection and we put it into 2 tranches. The first 5K is for retroactive stuff. We just dropped an article yesterday giving our thought process on our methodology. So it's like if you're a friend tech user or if you were a heavy friend tech user, if you are top 100 from Fantasy Top, if you donated to Tornado Cash, it's a couple of GitHub repos that the researchers really value. We have it all listed out and to give you an idea of what you should go back and check. And then the next 5K will come several months from now and it'll be based on proactive things. So whether it's social analysis or community support or on-chain activity.
The last part, which really makes the chain work, is the actual apps.
Yeah, the best part.
Like that's the part that matters, right? No one buys a PlayStation to just stare at the PlayStation, right? They have to play on it. Walk me through apps you're excited about and how you're thinking about capturing the audience.
Yeah, so one accelerator, Mega Mafia is what we're calling them. The other group is just Mega Forge, which is just like an open builders program. I think it's first important to point out the key differentiator between what an L2 can do versus Solana, because that's always the question, like why would anyone go here instead of Solana? There's one unique thing that allows for us to produce experiences that are different than anywhere else. The responsiveness, the real-timeness is that thing, right? Again, even on Solana, which is very performant, you're still waiting a couple hundred milliseconds, half a second to a second to these things actually being agreed on being on-chain. So you lose that real-time window of responsiveness of this thing being true. What can be enabled by something like that? A good example, I'll do one in DeFi and then one in like games. So in DeFi, we have a project called like Euphoria, right? It's a MEV's researcher, like basically retired, and he came out of retirement because he wants to build some fun stuff. So his idea is to take like a perps trading platform and package it into like a on-chain like Robinhood style gamified ecosystem, right? They call it tap trading. What if you were to play a game that required tapping, but the responsiveness was half a second, 2 seconds, right? It's non-starter, right? You're not competitive with Web 2. Our chain, again, because we're an L2, really leaning into this architecture and enables, we shrink that window down to 200 milliseconds total, right? For an on-chain final showing up on a screen. That's on the DeFi side. Then on like the gaming side, you might be familiar with OnCyber. That founder, he's living on with like on-chain assets represented in game. So like he has created a very lightweight browser-based engine that allows people to spin up these like Roblox style environments that's tied to on on-chain assets. You have a character spawns in, running around, and in real time, you have blocks coming, like falling from the ceiling, big portal in the sky. These blocks are coins that recently launched on the meme coin launch pad, and the size of the block is relative to the market cap of the block, right? So this thing's falling in real time, things are being generated, and you as a user, if you bump into it, you automatically buy $1 worth.
It's actually really cool. Hopefully my wallet is approved for the Mega ETH sale because everyone wants it. We'll see. Testnet is probably end of this month, and then mainnet is TBD. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Having me.
Awesome.